So I made some music inspired by Raidou Kuzunoha versus the Soulless army, in this case a map theme, and I want to show you how I made it. Let's just listen to it a little bit first so you get an idea of how it sounds like. This kind of expansive feeling. With the synth melody. With background instruments. And of course, it wouldn't sound like Raidou without the brass. So that's pretty much how the song sounds like, and we're gonna listen to the whole thing later, but now I'm gonna get into how I made the song. So I wanted something that felt like Tokyo Map from Raidou, meaning a map theme with a kind of expansive feeling, weird chords, maybe some soft synth melody, and that kind of rolling groove you heard that like... Kind of reminds you of a train, which is fitting since you ride the train in Raidou to get around the map. The first thing I started with was the chords, these synth chords. These synth chords, though. And those last three chords there have a top note that goes down one semitone for each chord. Like da, da, da. The point is, it's falling. And that's kind of typical for Shin Megami Tensei chord progressions. I called it the Shin Megami Tensei chord progression, actually. It's used in many songs, like, what is it, Shibuya from Shin Megami Tensei 1. Also, frickin' Ikebukuro from Shin Megami Tensei 3. 3D Underground from Shin Megami Tensei 2. It's used a lot, and I wanted to use something like that here to tie it into give it the Megami Tensei feeling. So we have the chords. The instrument for the chord is KORG Trinity. I've really been a fan of this software synth lately. I think it has some really great chords. I think some of these chords might have been used in Shin Megami Tensei 3, or it might have been the KORG Triton, or maybe I'm just making this up. But I think this has the right feeling anyway. So that's what I used. Second thing I added was the bass. And I wanted a bass line that, reinforced the chords, so it plays the root notes, but I also wanted it to be really melodic, really happening, really funky. The bass lines in Raidou are really funky in general, having a lot of melodic like movements, octaves that's really funky, and a lot of different rhythms, like very short staccato notes. So I made a bass line that sounds like this. You might notice that there are some really short notes in there. Just little da-da-da-da, that little da. That's something you can do if you play a real bass. You can make little, really short notes, more like noises, like rhythmic noises, which gives a lot of groove to the song. Makes it sound really funky. And the song is saving channels. There we go. The bass sound I used was old school, the old school slap, the old school funk patch with the slap articulation from Trilogy, which is included in Trilian. And it's a bass plugin, it's really good. If you ask me, this would be my guess of what was actually used in Raidou. I think it sounds very close, especially with the right effects that I dialed in here. I really think this might be it, because I remade Go Raidou and I compared the bass that I used and the bass in Go Raidou. I think it's very close, but I'm not 100% sure. So speaking of this, I then started making the drums. And the drums are from a plugin kind of similar to Trilian. also by Spectrasonics, called Stylus RMX. I searched for what drums were used in Raidou for a long time, and I cannot find it. Like, I had one of my friends help me, and we just could not find the drums used in Raidou, but I think the drums from Stylus RMX sound pretty close. It has that good sort of funky feeling. And it just sounds really good. So these are basically edited drum loops from Stylus RMX. I have a bunch of like funky drum loops in there. So there's this filtered groove. Sounds kind of distant, right? Over the kick. A hi-hat pattern. A triangle. That's very typical of Shoji Meguro. And you know, some congas. Can be kind of funky. And also this snare drum. So those are the drums. And what else did I do? I add the rest of the like Raidou instrumentation. The thing is that Shoji Meguro has like a set of instruments he used in many of the Raidou songs. Almost like he pretended that he had like a funk band, and he gave the funk band different songs to play. But of course he did it all in his computer, probably. Except for the guitar. So those instruments are piano, electric piano, organ, electric organ, and clavinet. The piano basically plays a melody here. Like in Tokyo Map from Raidou. It's also layered with the synth pad that also plays this melody. Sounds really cool together. Yeah. So what about the rest of the instruments? The organ plays some chords. Not even full chords, just two notes. I think it's called dyads when you just play two notes together. But it sort of reinforces the chords that are underneath. The electric piano plays an arpeggio, arpeggiated chords, which just means that you play a chord, but you play one note at a time, like this. Which sounds really nice, kind of peaceful. I should say that the instruments get a bit groovier in general in the second part of the song. Here it's actually just doubling the bass line. Nice. And the organ also plays full chords now. A little keyboard slider to make it sound a bit more realistic. And then there's the clavinet. Clavinet is used a lot in Raidou. I think it defines the game's sound a lot. It has this really kind of bright, funky sound. It's a really cool instrument. Kind of underrated. Those fast little notes in between the chords is something that Shoji Meguro did in Raidou a lot too. He gave the clavinet very fast, kind of complex parts. So I did the same here. It sounds pretty cool. Let's talk about the brass now. So the brass is of course the most defining instrument of Raidou. I think it's a combination of trumpets and saxophone. And the trumpets and saxophone usually play in octaves, so we have the first trumpet playing some notes, right? Then the second trumpet would play those notes but an octave down, 12 semitones down from the first trumpet. And the tenor saxophone would also play those notes an octave down from the first trumpet. Sounds like this. Also, trombone is used for softer solo sections. This brass is from Kick-Ass Brass, which is an old sample CD. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering, like, how am I using these sample CDs, I'm using a sampler called TX16WX. And it looks like this. You just like load up the thing you want, and then you can play the notes. It's really not that complicated. I have like the settings up, but you really don't need to edit the settings in most cases. I really recommend this if you're into old sample CDs and such. The other instruments here, the organ, the keyboards, they were also from an old sample CD called USB SoundScan Volume 9, Volume 17 for the piano, and then Volume 9 for the rest of the keyboards, the electric keyboards, I guess you could say. So after the brass, we have the guitar, which is, you know, my guitar. Oh, right. No, it's actually not this. It's actually not this guitar. It's my Stratocaster that's hanging on the wall over there. Thing about it is that the guitar I have here, my beloved SG, the pickups on it are so-called humbuckers, which are designed to reduce, like, what do you call it, buzz or noise, and it also makes the sound a bit darker, which is nice. For this funky song, I think it's better to have a bit of a brighter sound. So I used my Stratocaster, which has normal single coil pickups, a normal guitar sound basically, instead of a darker guitar sound. And then I used the Line 6 Pod plugin, or the Pod Farm plugin, because Shoji Meguro used the Pod Farm for his guitar tones in Raidou, but I just used the plugin instead because it has those tones as well. Sounds like this. And the guitar scratching is just following the rhythm of the bass, basically, and accentuating some notes with dyads, like chords. And it has a really nice groove together, right? Yeah, the guitar is in the background, but I think it does a lot for the song. I can actually show you how this plugin looks like. Pod Farm. So this is how it looks, Line 6 clean. Pretty sure that this is the tone that is in the Line 6 pod, the physical unit. Like, physical unit, but it's all digital inside, so I think this should be the exact same sound. What else do we have? We have the guitar, we have the keyboards, we have the synths. Right, synths. I talked about the synth pad before. Do we have anything else? I guess I have this little thing in the background. Pretty sure this is also from the Trinity. Indeed. There's a little bit of a synth solo later. I guess we can take a look at that. Yeah, so in the second verse, instead of this piano and synth melody, we have a synth solo. And this time I didn't use the Trinity, I used the Roland XV5080, which has a lot of cool sounds. Pretty sure that this sound might be in the Roland JV1080 as well. And it's saving and saving and saving. Yeah. Or no. No, this is definitely not in the JV1080. This is in the XV5080. Pretty cool synth, pretty iconic. It was used in Mushihime-sama Futari, for example. And I think that's everything I wanted to say about the instruments themselves. About the composition, Tokyo Map, which inspired this song, has this sort of like ABC structure, where it's, you know, the calm first part, and then it's the solo part, and then it's very calm part, like an interlude. So I kind of used the same structure here, although I put the most energetic part at the end instead, here. A bit of a piano solo. Yeah, so that's the song structure. What else? And the actual melodies and such in this song are taken from some other songs I did before. Because I have made a lot of Shin Megami Tensei inspired music. And in the other overworld themes I made, or like my other Shin Megami Tensei inspired music packs, I used these melodies, and I used them here as well for this overworld theme, because it's fun to create a continuity. Yeah, I think we've looked at all the parts, we looked at all the instruments, we talked about the composition and song structure. And finally, there are the strings. So there's not a lot of strings in the song, there's just this little crescendo before the main part of the song. And also a little sort of background stab, I guess. So those are the strings. And these are also from an old sample CD, Advanced Orchestra. Okay, let's listen to the whole song now. Here is Tokyo Map. One thing worth mentioning is that the brass plays different articulations. So for the long notes, it's actually a different sample than the like short little pop notes. And mixing these two sounds more realistic. Jazzy notes right there. You can hear it if you play close attention. Like how the shorter notes are actually a different sound sample. Organ that time instead of piano. And a little guitar too. And that's Tokyo Map. So now I showed you how I made the song. Some people ask me sometimes, like, how do you make music so fast? Is this AI? And I hope I showed you that no, I'm just unemployed.